Can you see it now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you. Very good.
Yodhyattam manadritya tinasham abhiyachate shiyate tad yashahasitam manascha hata. Yodhyattam manadritya tinasham abhiyachate shiyate tad yashahasitam manascha hata. Yodhyattam manadritya kinasham abhiyachate chiyate tadyasya stam manaschavajñāta. Hare Krishna. Would someone like to chant? Or we could get into the synonyms translation and purport. Please try, somebody.
Ya udyatam anastasya kasnascham apityakte kastaye tadayah smitam manasa kavitaye ataha.
Thank you, Mataji. Synonyms translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
Yeah, who? Udyatam, an offering. Anadritya, rejecting. Kinasham, from a miser. Abhiyachate, begs. Shiyate is lost. Tat is. Yasha, reputation. Svitam, widespread. Mana, honor. Cha, and avajñā, a neglectful behavior. Hata, destroyed. Translation: one who rejects an offering that comes of its own accord, but later begs a boon from a miser, thus loses his widespread reputation, and his pride is humbled by the neglectful behavior of others. Purport: the general procedure of Vedic marriage is that a father offers his daughter to a suitable boy. That is a very respectful marriage. A boy should not go to the girl's father and ask for the hand of his daughter in marriage. That is considered to be humbling one's respectable position. Swayambhuva Manu wanted to convince Kardama Muni, since he knew that the sage wanted to marry a suitable girl. I'm offering just a suitable wife. Do not reject the offer, or else, because you are in need of a wife, you will have to ask for such a wife from somewhere else, who may not behave with you so well. In that case, your position will be humbled. Another feature of this incident is that Swayambhuva Manu was the emperor, but he went to offer his qualified daughter to a poor Brahmana. Kardama Muni had no worldly possessions. He was a hermit living in the forest, but he was advanced in culture. Therefore, in offering one's daughter to a person, the culture and quality are counted as prominent, not wealth or any other material consideration. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishnabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Putale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, Mataji, you know that this chapter is the wedding of Kardama Muni. And Prabhupada has given insights into not just the pastime, but also instructions that the Shastras, everything is what? It's a manual, correct? It's a manual of how to live life. So many instructions are given in that, from which we could be able to adopt in our day-to-day living. So for this particular text, I'm sorry, it says 3:22:14 here. It's an error. Should be 13. Is when I was preparing for it, I came upon a very nice article in Back to Godhead, and they had compiled various Prabhupada's purports and lectures on the topic of marriages. So understanding Vedic marriage. So this today's class is going to be based on all of Sri La Prabhupada's purport. So this slide will talk about marriage with a purpose. You know, we also have the Gotra astrology, the lineage of the boy, the girl, and matching these. And then what is the way to get married? Of course, we are grastis, and some of us are at that age where our children are marriageable age. So this would be a good information to understand when we are considering for spouses for the child. Marriage with a purpose. So what is marriage? This whole institution of marriage is a purificatory process. The purificatory process is the ashram that we have, Grihastha ashram. There are the 4 ashrams. So Grihastha ashram. And each ashram is to gradually elevate the consciousness of a human being towards God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So this is why marriage is necessary. So what it's actually doing is it is regulating the lifestyle. Now, everyone knows that there's a very common saying that sex makes the world go round. Either openly or covertly, everyone is hankering for sex. And of course, as time goes by, it becomes more and more out in the open. From the thoughts, from the clothes, from the words, from behavior, it is all dovetailed into sex. Look at me, to be seen and to see. That's what the current, the entire culture, that's what is happening. So it is no better than an animal life. But the human life with the higher intellect has a higher purpose. So what happens with the marriage, institution of marriage, it is, it brings about some kind of a discipline rather than just be having union with anyone and everyone, like the animal species. There's no marriage in the animal species. So when you can regulate this very, very powerful impulse, this urge, okay, then it gets towards a higher transcendental life, as Prabhupada has explained, the purpose. And the restriction is like a yajna. Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita that yajnas should be performed. It's very necessary, purificatory process. It should be performed. So here is why the purpose, why the institution of marriage is so important. Otherwise, we are no better than animals. Then how to go about doing this is the parent, the father, he offers his daughter to a suitable boy. Today's verse. Now, what is suitable? In today's time, suitable is how much wealth, how much money the boy earns. So if you see all these matrimonial sites, they advertise boy is earning 8 figures, 6 figures salary, has his own business, very successful. So the quality of a person is established by what he has and not by who he is. So if we see from this pastime, Swayambhuva Manu, the emperor of mankind, yeah, so the opulences, like an emperor's daughter is marrying a very poor person who has no material possessions, zero. One little small hut he has, and he's doing a sadhana over there, Ardhamumani. But the qualities, the level of consciousness that he has, that is important. And that's why this emperor comes to the Brahmana's place and offers his daughter. So the other way around, the boy should not go to the girl's father and ask, can I marry your daughter? Of course, in some cultures, that's the way it is. But the proper way of doing it is that the girl's father approaches. Now, it may seem to be a little bit sexist. So all this thing about sexism or feminism, etc., is a recent construct. And typically, I think in the 60s or 70s, where the women's liberation. And Srila Prabhupada was very clear on the concept of women's liberation. There is really no such thing called liberation. Now, a male and a female, they are identical in the sense that they're spirit souls, but they're different in their covering. So one reporter asked Prabhupada when he had come to Philly airport for the Rath Yatra, and Prabhupada had made some strong statements on feminism. He pointed out the fallacy, and at that time it was very popular, the feminism movement. So all the women got really very upset. So a lady reporter, that Mataji asked Prabhupada that, you're saying this, so implying that, do you think women are inferior? So he says, no, they're not inferior. We see them as equal. And he gave the example that I'm wearing this dress and you're wearing a red color shirt. That's different. We are different. But we are the spirit soul. So we see Krishna consciousness is to consider everybody as a spirit soul. But you have to take into consideration the dress also. And along with that external covering, the dress, there are certain characteristics. There are certain things that women can do that men can't, and vice versa. So based on that, the entire Vedic culture is designed in such a way. So if you remember the earlier class, it was mentioned the Varnashram system. So the Varnashram system takes both the psychological as well as the physical aspects of a human being and elevates the consciousness. So in this format, in this, considering this, there is a certain protocol to follow. Otherwise, the imbalance happens. Now, on the face of it, it may seem like, oh, the women are being relegated to an inferior position or things like that. No, that's not the case. It is just that understanding. And of course, we could go so much deeper into this, but there isn't enough time in the next 12 minutes. Yeah, so we may have to rush a little bit. So many of us are from the Indian subcontinent, and we've all gone through, most of us would have gone through the Vedic way of getting marriage. You have the fire sacrifice and then the 7 rounds and the vows that you take over there. Then you have the, actually there are 7 to 8 types of marriage. However, in the Kali Yuga, there are the Vedic fire sacrifice and every other kind of sacrifice like kidnapping for chivalry in the Kshatriya community. That's completely forbidden right now. Then Gotra and astrology, and it establishes in which Varna a person is born, and accordingly, the qualities that a person imbibes with his environment, and then the matching is made. So when we follow the idea over here is, when you follow a prescription, the effect takes place. If I'm ill and I go to a doctor and he writes me a prescription and he says, you take this medicine, 1 in the morning after breakfast and 1 at night after dinner. That's a prescription. But if I take it as I want, whatever I feel like, whenever I feel like, it's not going to work. So please understand that whatever information that is there in the scriptures is like a prescription. And today we are talking about what is the prescribed methods and procedures for marriages. So who is Dharam Patni and what's the duty of the parents? Person who is a woman accepted in marriage by ritualistic ceremony, and the children born of that marriage then become the rightful heirs of whatever possession the parent has, the father has. It also refers to a woman who is chaste, whereas there is no illicit connection. Now, one may think that why is it that only for a woman it should be chaste? What about a man? Of course, the man also has to be chaste. Brahmachari. What does brahmachari mean? Chaste. He has to be chaste. There has to be no union of, and no connection, right? So this is for both. It's not just for the female, it's also for the male. The duty of the parent is to arrange for the marriage. Modern times is different, where children choose their own spouse. It's also become quite normal that they have something called live-in. We can't sit in judgment of anybody. We can't. That's the culture of the way things are evolving or devolving. Depends on your point of view. But you cannot sit in judgment of anyone. That's what they're doing. But just as a parent is the well-wisher of their children, so we provide for our child's education, emotional security, physical well-being, so many things, right? So over here, it is the duty, the Shastras say, that we should arrange for the marriage of the sons and daughters. And same here, sons and daughters should not be allowed the freedom to intermingle unless they are, because this sex force is so powerful. Vishwamitra, the sage who meditated for years and years, who had such control over his mind, just by the tinkling of the bell, everything went haywire. Hare Krishna. Now, broken marriages and ideal marriages. Marriage is a contract, actually a physical contract. There is a piece of paper, your marriage certificate. But just because you have a certificate doesn't mean that the marriage would be successful. Marriage requires work by both parties. Today, we means not you or me or anyone, the society. It is such that we are so self-centered that we get married for our own personal gain, whatever it be. And as long as that is being met, it is fine. The moment it's not being met, everything goes. So broken marriages, what happens is, as you know, the whole theme of this is to regulate the sexual impulse. So when there is this illicit union, and where you're going outside whatever is the natural way, natural order of things, it creates chaos. So as Prabhupada said, today it is a matter of formal agreement between man and woman. Today, marriages are more a convenience or some kind of a respectability, that is also going away from society, that, oh, these two are together. So it is a license to have unrestricted. But there is so much, there is cheating in the marriage, there is all sorts of things which are going on. So it breaks, marriages break, and then you have children, innocent beings, and they are just torn apart. That entire family is torn apart. The ideal marriage is where there is a common goal. So it is towards a common goal, both work towards a common goal. Here, the common goal in the modern society is self-interest. So I have a self-interest, you have a self-interest, and if both our self-interests aligns, we are together. The moment something changes, we go our separate ways. But in the Vedic culture, your common goal is self-realization, is God realization, and whatever you do, everything is dovetailed. And that doesn't change, that interest doesn't change, it remains. So the longevity and the prosperity of such marriages is guaranteed. So there is intercaste marriage and then this huge dowry system. Yeah. So the intercaste marriage is based on different ashramas, based on different varanas, sorry, not ashrama, based on different varana, you're able to marry. So if the male, like in this Kardama Muni and pastime and Mother Devahuti, is that where the male is a Brahmana, that's the first classification of qualities, the highest quality. He would be able to marry someone from a Kshatriya family. But a male Kshatriya cannot marry a female Brahmana. So there is a certain system, because what they do, if you see the earlier slide, is the qualities of a person, they should match, of the couple should match. If there is a mismatch, then it creates trouble. Now the dowry system has been abused. Like everything else human beings tend to abuse, whether it is the environment or whatever else it is. So it has been abused. Somehow or the other, it became a compulsion. It is not compulsory. It is just a gesture of the parents. Love. What is love? Love is a feeling, and it is expressed through some kind of a medium, some kind of a service. Service is that medium through which love is expressed. So if we love something, we want to do something for them. We want to give something to them. So this is what the dowry was. And it is not that, people make demands. And there are so many Bollywood films where the father takes his pagdi and, all melodrama, and they put it at the boy's feet. And, oh, please don't do this. They come into the mandap and they say, now we need this much, otherwise we won't get married. So that's not what dowry is. That's not what dowry is. And it's said that even if you can give a fruit, that is also fine. That is also fine. Yeah. So this is the dowry system, and now how Krishna got married. I like this very much. Krishna is exactly like us, and he has all propensities of an individual living being in fullness. Of course, please don't misunderstand Krishna is like us means I'm also Krishna. No, that's not what it is. So whatever urges, whatever we have in us comes from that source, Krishna. It is in full. We are extremely tiny, limited. And his wedding is also just like us. Now, in those times, the Kshatriya, chivalry, they would actually go and kidnap. And it was a manner of showing their chivalry and their prowess. And the bride would feel that, yes, my husband has this capability of protecting me. And that's what Krishna did with Mother Rukmini. Through a Brahmana, she sent a note. Mother Rukmini, under the instruction, she had never seen Krishna in her life before, just heard of his glories and fell in love with him. And that's the exact same opportunity we have. We listen to Katha. And just by listening, putting it into practice, love of God develops. So here's how. Similarly, Lord Rama, he lifted the bow, Lord Shiva's bow. That was a condition. So it's not just any ordinary person. So they exhibit their prowess, the male, which gives confidence to the female. So this is how Krishna got married. So that's it for today's Katha. It's a very deep topic, very easily misunderstood. But as long as we follow the guidelines of Guru Sadhu Shastra, there is some level of clarity, and you'd be able to relate to it in today's tradition and the modern society. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Over to you, Madhupati Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Amritananda. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Praladesha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringam. उग्रवीरं महाविष्णुं दुरन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नरसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं नित्यं मृत्युं नमाम्यहम्। नरसिंह भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय।
जय।
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Samar Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpataruvasya kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavane vayo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha। वैष्णववृंद की जय।
जय।
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
हरि
बोल।
Thank you, Amritananda Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Bol. Hare